want to find that drive and focus that has you locked in and on fire every single day, my book, The Mirror of Motivation, will do it for you. I bought a copy for you. You take care of the shipping. The book is free. Click the link down there. I got you. Now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves me, you, and everyone else out there to go make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And what we do here for you, we're going to take all of this and put it into one bundle, one package. And what comes out is the mindset, the method, the philosophy, the book, the show, known as Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. Today's topic is how to take better care of your mind and body. This is a topic that I've touched on at different times. I've talked a little bit about, I've done episodes on sleep, some on taking rest, some on nutrition, food, diet, things like that. Yes, I have touched on those topics, not too deep, not in so many episodes, but I have done at least one on each one of those subjects. If you go look in the archive, which you can, if you just go into your game group members area, you can browse through every episode that has ever come out of this show here. If you're not a member of the game group yet, just go to workonmygame.com/game group and you can access all that stuff. But I've talked about these things, and today we're going to talk about it a little bit more because this topic doesn't really need a ton of background explanation, because I think all of you understand the value of the mental game because you're listening to me here every single day. And I'm sure if you understand the value of the mental game, you also understand the value of your physical game. In other words, taking care of your physical body, not necessarily that you're out there in any type of performance sport. You don't have to be an athlete. You don't have to go to the gym every single day. You don't even have to be in amazing shape or impressive shape, I guess, if you want to call it that. You don't need to be doing any of that, but you do understand. If you understand the value of your mind, I'm sure you have a solid understanding, if not a deep understanding, but a solid understanding of the value of your body. So let's establish this. How you take care of these two things, your mind and your physical person, they will determine, first of all, how you live, and second of all, how long you live. I think all of us can agree to that. And both of these, your physical and mental health, will both supersede anything else that you do. That's why they're important. So if something goes wrong with your, let's say, for example, you achieved at a high level in some area that didn't have, let's say it was not directly tied to your mind or your body. For example, let's say you made a whole lot of money. Let's say you hit the jackpot in the lottery, you started a company and it blew up. You had a successful exit from some business, some startup that you founded, and you have a whole lot of money in the bank, but something goes wrong with your mind to where you can't even remember who you are. You don't even recognize your friends anymore. All that money, it'll probably keep you alive and pay some people who can take care of you, but you won't be able to enjoy it because something's going wrong with your head. If something goes wrong with your body, on the other hand, and you physically can't move around, you can't drive your own car, you can't go to the bathroom by yourself, you can't hold food down, you got to be at the doctor 3 times a week, you got to take 50 pills a day just to stay alive, you won't be able to enjoy the money that you made or whatever else it is that you would consider to be a huge success in your life that is not directly tied to actually using your mind or using your body, which you probably would need to do just to have achieved that success in the first place. But you get the point that I'm making here. I just use money as an example. If your mind and body are not taken care of, you won't be able to take care of anyone else. You may not even be able to take care of yourself. And even if you have already achieved a huge amount of success, you won't be able to enjoy it or capitalize on it or repeat it. And if you have not yet achieved a huge amount of success, you may be precluded from even being able to do it. You may no longer be eligible to achieve the level of success that you wanted to, simply because you do not have the resources, meaning your mind and your body. Your resources are not available for you to actually use them to get what you want to get. So it's really important that you take very good care of both of these elements. We talk about the mental game here every single day. So I got 1,300 episodes here, 800 hours of material telling you how to take care of your mind. But we're going to talk about it on a different plane here today, also involving your body. So make sure you are taking notes on what I'm talking about here, number one, and also at the same time, checking yourself against everything that I say here. Everything I talk about here on the show, even if you agree with it, even if you logically understand it, even if you, quote, already know, close quote, any of the things that I say here, make sure you are checking yourself against everything that gets pointed out here, especially the things that you agree with. Because if you really think about it, and you may laugh in spite of yourself when I point out this fact, Oftentimes we listen to something that someone else says and we fully agree with what they're saying. Maybe we've heard it before. Maybe we have even said it ourselves before. But then if we really think about it and really check ourselves, we realize, you know what? Even though I agree with that and I've heard it before and I've even said it before, I'm not fucking doing it. I don't actually even do that thing. Yes, it makes sense. Yes, it's logical. Yes, I'm nodding my head, but I'm not even doing it in my own life. So make sure everything that we talk about here on this show, you are checking yourself to make sure that you are not just knowing the information, quote unquote, knowing the information, but actually living it, actually applying it in your life. So let's get right into it. Point number one, today's topic, once again, is how to take better care of your mind and your body. Understand, this is the first point. You will become a product of your environment. Now, I'm going to explain exactly what that means. And before I even go into that, I want all of you to understand, especially those of you who are not super duper familiar with me or my content, that everything that we talk about here on the show, we always bring it back to ourselves. So even though what I just said, you will become a product of your environment, most people, when they hear that statement, they think that I'm referring to all the people who are around you, or the neighborhood that you're from, or who your family is, or the people you have to deal with at work or at school or on your sports team every single day. That's part of your environment, but that's not all of your environment. So I want you to understand, but as I go deeper into this point, that becoming a product of your environment is not about the majority stakeholder in your environment. Is not the people around you or the neighborhood that you live in or the circumstances into which you were born. The majority stakeholder in your environment is you. And as we get deeper into this point number one, we're still on the first point, I'm going to explain exactly what that means. But I want to make sure, I want to pre-frame for all of you exactly where I'm coming from, where I come from with every point in every episode of this show, so you stay with me here. This is not about other people. It can be about other people, but we always bring it back to ourselves, because we can't control other people. Only people we can control is us. So even if someone else is doing something or has done something or represents something that is not helping us, it is not their fault, because they are who they are. We can't change them necessarily. We can always change us. So with that being said, that you will become a product in your environment, we understand that we all have probably heard of the nature versus nurture argument when it comes to how people become who they become, right? Nature being what you were born with and what you were born into. For example, nature is how tall you are, what you look like, what genes you inherit, if there's certain sicknesses or diseases or certain things that run in your family that you can do certain things to try to, as much as you can, prevent them, but it could happen to you simply because it runs in your family. It's just a genetic trait that was handed down to you. If you have a tall mother and a tall father, it's a good chance you're going to be tall as well. You couldn't do anything to stop it. And if you have a short mother and father, you're probably going to be short too. And there's not much you can do to stop it. Maybe you'll hit the lottery, the genetic lottery, and get lucky one way or the other, whichever one you consider to be more lucky, as I did. I mean, my parents are both under 6 feet, well under 6 feet tall. I became 6'4". I hit the genetic lottery, and I've talked about that in different episodes. You go listen to those to hear me talk more about that. But understand that nature are the things that were handed down to you by your parents, or the genetic code that was sent down to you by them. You for the most part can't control that. Or the color that you are, what kind of hair you have coarse hair, straight hair, what color your hair is, the color of your eyes, your size, your body type, your skin tone, all of those things. Those are just set in stone, and you can't do nothing about it. I mean, unless you're, Michael Jackson. On the other hand, rest in peace, Michael Jackson. On the other hand, you have the nurture argument. The nurture argument is whatever your environment is, whomever you're around, the influences around you, the material that you take in, the people that you allow to influence, inspire you, move you to action, people you want to be around, people you don't want to be around. That's the nurture argument, meaning whatever environment you happen to be in, you will become a product of that situation. I want you to understand that both of these have an effect on who you are right now as a person. Who you are right now. I mean, at age 33, age 57, at age 19, who you are right now is a combination of the genetics you were handed and the environments in which you've been in. But since you cannot change your nature, let's talk about the thing you can change, the thing you can control, which is the nurture, aka your environment. Now, when I bring this up to people that you can't control your environment, sometimes people have objections that they pose to me, that they present to me in the form of questions, where they say things such as, what if, Dre, I have negative people around me? What if nobody in my family is into this personal development stuff and getting better, and they don't even know what I'm talking about when I start talking about the stuff that I hear you talk about here on your show? What if I work with a bunch of asshole people who don't want to get better? They just want to stay where they are, and their influence could kind of bring me down if I allow it to. What if I go to school with people like this? What if everyone in my neighborhood is not trying to go anywhere? They just want to stand on the corner and be losers and just be average people all their lives, but I'm trying to do something different and they don't really understand what I'm trying to do, and I can't move out of my environment. I can't change my family. I can't transfer out of my school. It wouldn't be wise for me to quit my job. These negative people are all around me, and I don't have the resources or the power right now to move myself out of that situation. What am I supposed to do about this situation, Dre? Maybe I've explained, or not explained, maybe I have laid out a challenge that you have right now when it comes to your environment, when it comes to your nurture. Let me tell you, first of all, let me give you a piece of information, okay? And I want you to understand this piece of information that I'm about to give you is a majority stakeholder in your nurturing. All right. Nurture being, again, the environment in which you are in. 49% at the most involves everything that I just laid out. People around you, your family, your job, your school, your neighborhood, and all that stuff. 49% at the most. The majority stakeholder in your nurture, your environment, is what's going on in your mind. That gray matter in between your ears up there that we call a brain or the mind. Maybe they're two separate things. I haven't dove into that. Maybe I'll do a whole episode on that after I do, which I haven't done as of this recording. Environment starts in the way that you think. It starts with whatever is going on in your head, not them or it, but in your head, you. How you think and how you talk to yourself has more of an effect on you than how anyone else in the neighborhood or the people in your family or the people who work with you, how they think and what they say and what they do. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever met or heard a story of someone who came from a really fucked up background, but they're such a nice person, they're so pleasant, they're so positive, and they have so many great things going on that you wouldn't even believe it if someone had told you that they came from where they came from, that when you find out where they came from and then you look at who they are, you're like, how is it possible that you came from there, but you became this? You ever come across someone who fit that description? Maybe you're that person. Maybe you want to become that person. What about, have you ever come across someone who it seems like, looking at their background, seems like they had everything going for them? Right neighborhood, right people, right family. They had a whole bunch of breaks working for them. They hit the lottery in more ways than one when it came to their environment being set up for them to be successful. Yet that person still became just a complete fuck up in life. I'm sure you know some people who fit that description. Maybe that's you also. I want you to understand that both of those, the person who came from a crazy place but became an amazing person, and the person who came from an amazing place but became a crazy person, both of them are a result of that individual's internal environment. And they're both proof positive of it. How could somebody come from such a fucked up background and become an amazing person? Is because whatever was going on in their mind superseded whatever was going on outside of them, outside of their physical person. And it's the same way how a person come from a great background and end up a complete fuck up in life. How is that? It's because whatever was going on in their mind overpowered the fortuitous environment in which they found themselves. And it's the same thing that happens to you. So if you are from, and there are some people out there who are from average environments and end up average people. So you could say they become a product of their environment as well. But it's not because of the average environment you grew up in. It's because of the average mindset in which you chose to allow your life, to your soul, to marinate. You allow yourself to marinate in that crock pot of averageness. And I'm talking about your thinking, not the people around you, not the amount of money your parents have. Your thinking is average, then you're going to become an average individual. If your thinking is a level above the environment in which you are in, you will become someone who, when people look at your environment and then they look at you and they juxtapose the two, they can't understand how you could come out of there. And at the same time, if your thinking is on a low level, even though you come from a fortuitous situation, people are going to look at where you came from and look at who you are, and they're going to be like, how the hell did you mess that up? And again, I'm sure at this point in your life, you could be 15 years old. I'm sure you've come across some people who fit both of those descriptions. Have you not? The question is, which one are you going to be? I wrote a book called The Mental Workbook that is all about the taking control of the conditioning of your subconscious mind. This book is all about controlling your internal environment. So if you want to get more control over your internal environment, first of all, you want to understand what I mean when I'm talking about the internal environment on an even deeper level than what I've talked about here for the last 10 minutes. Get the mental workbook. And if you want to learn how to control that internal environment to where you lay out exactly what you want for your life, what you want to have, what you're going to do, and most importantly, the type of person that you need to become in order to do those things and to get those results, get the mental workbook, because I'm going to lay it out for you in detail, and you're going to lay it out. I'm going to walk you through you laying it out for yourself for your own life. Again, that's in my book called The Mental Workbook. Go to workonmygame.com/workbook, one word, to get that book, The Mental Workbook. So the mental workbook will help you do that, which is going to help you take control of your internal environment, help you take control of the way that you think, help you take control of steering yourself towards the actual goals that you have in life. It's one thing to have goals, it's another thing to have a plan to actually reach those goals, which means you're going to become the person that you actually want to be in life instead of becoming the person that environment decides you're going to be. If that's what you're looking for, again, workonmygame.com/workbook. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is taking better control of your mind, taking better care and control of your mind and body. Second thing you got to do is you must either stop or have the discipline to not put junk in your mind and in your body. Now, when it comes to putting junk in your body, I mean, everyone pretty much understands this, right? I was reading a book recently, actually just today, where the book wasn't about fitness or the mental game or any of that, but he just happened to mention this to make a bigger point, that in the nutrition industry, do you notice, depending on how old you are, how things have changed so many different times when it comes to nutrition? There was a time when we used to have this thing called the food pyramid. Y'all remember the food pyramid? Some of you do, if you're old enough. 30 or over, I guess. The food pyramid, at the bottom level of it, they said that eating grains like rice and cereals and breads was more important than eating fruits and vegetables. Nowadays, the information is the complete opposite, right? Then we had the South Beach diet. We've had the Atkins diet. Nowadays, we got keto. Keto is the hot thing that people do now. What else do we have? We got veganism. We got vegetarian. You got pescatarians. We have what's the other thing now? What is it called when you eat all the meat? Paleo. So you got all these different ways that you could eat. All of them have different arguments for why their way is the better way against this way, and that way is not the good way. And you got all these different people with all these different ideas and positions. But here's the thing that I want you to understand, because I'm not here to make an argument for or against any of them, because I eat pretty much what I want. I'm generally vegan, but if I want a bacon cheeseburger, then goddamn it, I'm eating a bacon cheeseburger. But that's just me. I'm not telling you to do it. I'm making all of that point to make this point. Don't we all know what's good for us and what's not? Don't you know? Do you need to read a book to know that eating some fried chicken is probably not going to help your health? And I'm not telling you there's wrong to eat fried chicken, because I will eat some fried chicken too. Now, I'm black. All right. Don't you know that eating candy is probably going to hurt your teeth and you're going to pay for it when you go to the dentist? You know that, don't you? Don't you know that not getting a proper amount of sleep every single day is probably not going to be good for your overall health, physically or mentally? Don't you know that? Don't you know that alcohol and smoking certain things are probably not going to help you? They're going to hurt you, even though it may be in the moment, it feels pleasurable, right? It feels good to eat some fried chicken while you're eating the fried chicken, but you know it's probably not going to help you run a marathon the next day. You know that, don't you? You know that drinking water is better than drinking soda. Did you know that? You know these things. See, everything that I'm telling you here, you pretty much already understand. So if you happen to be an athlete, now why are you eating fast food and eating Denny's for dinner? Because you see, you don't need to read a book or listen to a podcast to know that that's a bad decision. Is this correct? If you bought a $250,000 Ferrari, would you stop at the gas station to put in some 87 unleaded gas into that gas tank? Probably not. You probably pay extra for the 93 premium. Why? Because you want to invest in your investment, because you understand that putting something cheap in such a large investment is basically like hustling backwards. If you're going to be cheap on the gas, you might as well got yourself a smart car or a Kia or I don't know, whatever other car you could put 87 gas in. Why would you do that? When you need a oil change for your Aston Martin or for your what's the other one? I forgot, the Maserati or your Ferrari or whatever other car that you would make a big investment into getting. When you need an oil change, are you going to stop at Jiffy Lube for the $15 10-minute oil change? Or are you going to pay $1,500 at the dealership for that oil change and tune-up? And why? Why would you what's the difference between those two decisions? A $15 versus $1,500 difference. Why would you pay $1,500? You can get an oil change for $15. Why would you do that? Because you're investing in the investment. So I want you to look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, what's more valuable, a Ferrari or my physical body? Because see, with your physical body, you can do things that can get you 1,000 Ferraris. All right, one Ferrari can't buy you a physical body. That physical body that starts failing because you have been eating the wrong foods, not eating the right foods, not doing it often enough for long enough, and you need to go to the doctor and pay them $6,000 for them to tell you that you've been making mistakes for the last 32 years of your life. That doctor didn't need to tell you that your body is more valuable than that Ferrari. See, when your body starts failing, it doesn't matter if you own a Ferrari, you can't get in it, you can't drive it because your back is broken. Or you can't be away from a bathroom for more than 15 minutes because you can't control your bowels anymore. You don't need to read a book to know that, do you? You pay the higher amount because you want to support your investment. You invest in your investments. In episode number 609, I reference this episode damn near every week on the show. I talked about the 5 forms of investment: time, money, attention, energy, focus. When you have made an investment into something, just because you made the investment doesn't mean the game is over. You have to continue making investments in the investment. When you invest in starting a business, just because you started the business and you got a domain name for $12 off GoDaddy.com and you bought some hosting and you went and got an LLC for $250, that doesn't mean the business is done. Right now, you got to make some investments. Now you got to create a product. Now you may have to hire some employees. Now you may have to run some advertisements. You're going to put some time into creating some products or some services or some content, or somehow get some eyeballs on you so people can find out about you. All of those are what? Those are investments. Just because you made one investment doesn't mean the game is done. You must continue investing in the investment. Your body is the most valuable tool, physical tool that you will ever own. Your time is the most valuable intangible tool you will ever own. What investments are you making into your body and into your time? This is not a rhetorical question, but this is not a question that you're answering to me. It's a question you need to be answering to yourself. Understand that your body is the same as that car. If you would pay extra to get the oil change for your $250,000 Ferrari, when was the last time you paid extra to put the right food in your body? Now, that's a question that if you're thinking hard to answer it, you need to make some adjustments. Do you not? If you're not an athlete, it's the same thing for your mind. Even if you are an athlete, even if you are not an athlete, you still need to make some wise decisions as to what you're putting in your body, right? Because it's usually the non-athletes whose bodies start falling apart sooner. Because you're not doing the things to counterbalance. See, I can go to eat some fried chicken right now. I can eat a cheeseburger. I can eat some fries. I can get some Rita's water ice. I can eat a whole bag of candy. I can get some donuts from the donut spot in Miami. I could do those things and eat all of it in one day and I'll be good. Why? Because tomorrow I'm gonna be up running 8 miles and I'm gonna do it again the day after that and the day after that and lift weights and all of that stuff. I could work all that stuff off, but you're not the athlete. You're not doing that every single day. All right, your body's gonna break down even faster because you're not counteracting those things. See, you can earn your right to partake in these pleasures. All right, so I'm not telling you that they're bad things necessarily. You can earn your right to get them, but understand that you're going to have to pay that back. Right? Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Right? Either you're going to make the reaction or the universe is going to make the reaction for you. Hopefully you make it yourself. Your body is the same thing, whether you're an athlete or not. And it's the same thing, especially with your mind. Your mind is a performance tool, meaning it has to be fed with the proper fuels. Alcohol, nicotine, even though you may enjoy them, you understand on a logical level that they're drugs, right? You understand that they destroy you from the inside out. Even if you like them, they destroy you from the inside out. They break you down. If you're an athlete and you're putting things in your body that break your body down from the inside out, then you are divesting, meaning you're making your investment smaller. And that's a problem. Or if you're trying to make money using your body, you need to think long and hard about that. Actually, you don't need to think long and hard. You just need to make a better decision and make it quickly. Mentally, what thoughts do you allow yourself to dwell on and soak in? All right, this is part of the investment that you make in your mind. Because the thoughts that you allow yourself to dwell on and soak in, the energies in which you allow yourself to marinate, they get baked into your psyche and they affect everything that you do, or they infect everything that you do. For an example, if you ever go to a restaurant, I went to a restaurant once and they had a burger that I was going to order. Yes, this is the vegan telling you that I ordered a burger at a restaurant, and the burger in the description, it said it had onions. And I had said to the waitress, hey, I want this burger, but I don't want the onions on the burger. And the waitress said, well, I'm sorry, sir, but the way that the burger is made, the onions are baked into the burger. They're not onions that we put on top. They're baked in. It's the same thing with your mind. See, the thoughts that you allow yourself to dwell on, the energies that you allow yourself to sit in and soak in, they get baked into your mind. You can't take them off. All right? They're not like toppings that you put on and take off at your behest. They are baked into the product. So either you get the whole thing or you get none of it. So what decisions are you making when it comes to the way that you think, with the energies that you invest in, the energies you decide to soak in with your mind, and what are you putting into your body? Are you making wise decisions or dumb decisions? And again, you don't need to read a book to know when you're making a wise or a dumb decision. You know. Point number 3. Today's topic is how to take better care of your mind and body. Read and exercise. These are the things that you should be doing. Reading and exercising. Why? Because if either your brain or your body begins to fail, you're going to have a problem, and it's going to be a big problem. And it will supersede all of your other situations and problems that you got going on in life. If something's wrong with your brain or something's wrong with your body, you are in a state of emergency and you can't do anything else. Even if it's something else, another emergency, it is a bigger emergency. The simplest ways to keep both of them healthy is to do these two things. You want to keep your brain healthy, read. You want to keep your body healthy, exercise. Exercise, moving your body, it strengthens your heart. And everyone knows here, I think all of you understand this, you probably learned this in elementary school, that the heart is pretty much is what's keeping us alive. All right? Any other part of your body, if it got removed, you could probably still keep going. Maybe except for the brain and the heart, and maybe the lungs. All right, so we'll say 3. All right, everything else, you can keep going without them. All right, you could probably find stories of people who have lost parts or all of every other body part you could think of. Every other body part you could think of. And they kept living. As long as the brain, the lungs, and the heart were still there, they were good. So exercise strengthens the heart. And I guess you need the lungs too, because you got to breathe to exercise. I don't know anybody who exercises without breathing. If your heart fails, game over. All right, maybe game over. All right, unless you get a miracle and you got a whole bunch of money to pay those bills, game over if the heart fails. Everybody agree? The medulla is a part of the brain that controls involuntary life-sustaining functions. So you know what that means? The medulla is what makes the heart and lungs work. The medulla is a part of the brain. So if your brain stops working, meaning the medulla is going to stop working with it, game over. All right, if your brain stops working but your heart and lungs are still working, that means you're there but you're not there. All right, this is what some people will call a vegetable. Hopefully that's not an offensive term. I don't know if it is. If somebody's offended by that, don't blame me. I didn't make the term up. You don't want to become that. So make sure you are feeding your mind by reading, because it challenges your mind. Reading challenges you to think. If you're reading something that was written by somebody who thinks. All right, so don't just be reading no fucking comic books and Instagram captions. Go read a book by somebody who put a year of their life into putting it together, condensing 10 years of experience down to 200 pages so you can figure things out, so you can think for yourself. Read things that challenge you to think. If it doesn't challenge you to think, then you're reading on too low of a level. And exercise. Move your physical body so that your heart and your lungs are working, and they continue to work and they continue to get stronger. They had to be challenged. Your heart and lungs need to be challenged the same way your brain needs to be challenged. You stop challenging them, they start going backwards. We talk about this all the time. You stay neutral while everything else is moving forward, you're losing. And you lose for long enough, all right, the game just ends on you. All right, the game just stops working. Years ago, I used to have I had played a Nintendo Wii. Is that what they call it? Nintendo Wii, W-I-I. And I was playing this Mario Kart. It was like Mario Kart Go or something like that. Mario Kart Racing with the little Wii joystick. And this is the thing that I noticed. One time I was racing against somebody and I was beating them so bad that I started to taunt this person by not even moving my cart. Like I was like a lap and a head ahead of them. So I just stopped my cart and didn't move the car at all. I just let it sit there, and I'm laughing at this person saying to them, I'm gonna just sit here and wait till you catch up. And then when you catch up, then I'm gonna still beat you, right? So as I sat there for about, if you let the car just sit for about 10 seconds and you don't move at all, the Wii would automatically turn the game off on you and say, all right, obviously you're not playing anymore, so we just stopped the whole game, you lost. That's the way it works with your brain and your heart. Same thing. If you stop moving, the game will assume that you're not playing anymore. It will assume that you walked away, and it will turn the whole game off on your ass. That's why you need to make sure you are challenging your body and your mind to think at all times. As we recap today's topic, which is how to take better care of your mind and your body, a topic which should not need any explanation as to why it matters. Number one, you become a product of your environment. And we're talking nature versus nurture. They both have an effect. But while you cannot change your nature, you can always control your nurture, which is your environment. But understand that your environment is not so much what's going on around you and what other people are doing. Your environment is what's going on in your mind. You can control your environment with your mind more than anything that can happen on the outside can control you. How you think and talk to yourself has more of an effect on you than what anybody else thinks, does, or says to or around you. In the mental workbook, again, which will help you control your internal environment at workonmygame.com/workbook, will help you take control of what's going on in your mind, which means you can be the person that you actually want to be instead of the person you become by default by allowing your environment to control you. Point number two, have the discipline to not put junk in your mind or put junk in your body. If you're an athlete, you should know this already. You shouldn't even need to be told this. If you had owned a Ferrari that cost $250,000, would you put the cheapest gas in the car? Probably not. It wouldn't make any sense. Why? Because you already invested so much in the car, then you need to invest in the investment. Your body is an investment. Your mind is an investment. Because you didn't pay for it, because it came to you standard, because it came to you for free, many people do not value the investment that your body and mind are until your mind starts failing and your body starts failing. All of a sudden you can't remember things. All of a sudden you can't read anymore. All of a sudden you can't go to the bathroom by yourself anymore. Then all of a sudden you're looking up and you're saying to yourself, damn, I should have made some better decisions with my mind and my body, because I'm only 43 years old, but my body is already failing. All right, you don't want this to happen to you. Maybe you know some people to whom it has already happened. Don't be the next person. All right, don't be the next cautionary tale. If you own a $250,000 car, you're not taking it to Jiffy Lube for the oil change. Even though it only costs $15, you will pay 100 times more money to take it to the dealer and pay $1,500 for the oil change or $3,000 for the oil change and the tune-up. Why? Because you are investing in the investment. You don't put junk into something that's expensive. Your body and mind are very expensive, very valuable. They cannot be replaced. You can't buy another one. You better start making better investments in them. Just like the burger at the restaurant, sometimes the onions are already baked in. You can't get them to take off. They're not toppings. All right, so the things that you are thinking every single day, they get baked into your subconscious. They become part of you. If you think about them often enough, you dwell on them for long enough. So you need to make really smart decisions about what energies and thoughts and ideas you decide to allow to bake in to your thinking process. Point number three, read and exercise. Both of these are challenges for your mind and body respectively. If either your brain or your body starts to fail, you're gonna have a problem. It's gonna be a pretty big problem. These are the simplest ways to keep them healthy. Reading challenges your mind. Exercising challenges your body. If your heart fails, the game is over. If your mind fails, the game is over. All right. If you want the game to be over, all right. Well, I mean, you don't want the game to be over, but once the game is over, all right, you won't hear any more of these episodes. Work on your game. Dre all day.